This, I'm rolling right now. I'm really focused, and I'm keeping this under 10 minutes on not just isometric drawings, but pictorials. So up here on the board, if I could zoom it, you'd be able to see. I guess I could zoom by going like this and moving it closer. Pictorials, page 188 to 192, isometric, 1-point perspectives, 2-point perspectives, oblique drawings, and then I'm reading that in reverse, but we'll be just fine. I will just sketch these on the board. For an accurate drawing of them, just look on your sheet. Okay, here's some examples of perspectives here also. Okay. This is a 1-point perspective. This is a 2-point perspective. There's also such a thing called a 3-point perspective, which is not even mentioned in our book. It's pretty complex, but there's an example of one over there on the board. Okay. First of all, if you're not on page 182, I'm sorry, 188, we're going to be looking at 188 to 192. Isometric drawings. Okay. We spend a lot of time on isometrics. We don't spend much time on the other ones. In fact, you're only going to have to do one. If you want to do more than that, you can do more. Point in your book on page 188 to the isometric drawing. Okay? Isometric's one of the few that I also do. Let's see if we can get this on here. Well, actually, I'm going to start with the easiest type of perspective drawing. The easiest is an oblique, but it's not very accurate. Okay? The reason it's not very accurate, if you had a drawing like this and just drew the front view of it, if you're looking straight on the front view, you could not see any depth. Okay? The oblique drawing takes and adds depth to a front view. Easy, but not accurate. Okay? And then even oblique can be broken down into 3 other type of pictorials. You only have to do one. There's a general oblique, a cavalier oblique, and a cabinet oblique. Okay, and I believe it's got definitions of those in the book. It depends on how much your depth is. Lots of times they don't draw the depth at full scale. Okay? The next type of drawing, I guess the next easiest one is the isometric. Okay? A little bit more difficult, but more accurate, because what they've done now, since on an oblique you can't see the depth, they've added depth to it. You guys are already familiar, if you're in 8th grade, familiar with the isometric drawing, right? Okay, so I'll just sketch it out. What they've done is tilted it at a 30-degree angle, and it all comes down to starting at an angle. I probably went way too close on that. I messed that one up, didn't I? Yeah, I messed that one up, which I do sometimes. Okay, but it's tilted 30 degrees. Side views up at 30 degrees that way, front views up 30 degrees that way, and I bet you most of you can do a better job on an isometric than what I just did there. There's really no hidden lines on it. Okay? I was trying to keep this where they would fit on the screen there, and I got a little bit too carried away. A better example would be on page 188. In the upper left corner, there's the isometric. Okay? These were called oblique. You're going to do 3 of them. This would be one of your easiest drawing assignments. Doesn't have to be done today. It's a weekly target. So sometime during this week. If you're gone for MSP today, do it later. Okay? The next type, a 1-point perspective and a 2-point perspective. Okay? How many of you have a pretty good idea how to do a 1-point perspective? It can be done 2 ways. This one on this sheet here, and I would like, if you want a challenge, do one that is like a room like this, okay, for your interior, and then do a 2-point for your exterior. You can color it. You can make a building out of it. If it's just way too challenging for you, then I'll say just make like the blocks we've been drawing. This is about as complex as you could get. And I mean that people will get. You're welcome to do more than that, but you can see on this perspective, how all of the brick lines and everything go to the vanishing points. Okay, here they all go to the point in the middle. You're already familiar with a floor plan here. So on page 1, that's on 188, correct? On 189, they show how you could turn it at a different angle if you wanted to show like bottom features of an object. 190, isometric circles. At the bottom, note they're not true ellipticals. I think probably Hunter's the only one that's done an elliptical, like an isometric circle. Has anyone else done it? He might be the only one that's done the isometric circle in my entire teaching history. So kudos to you. And then on 190, it goes into more detail on that isometric circle. I said just use a circle template instead. Don't we have a circle template over there, Hunter? For isometric circles, they're not quite an ellipse. They're not quite an oval. 191 shows a little more on the oblique drawings. Full scale is a cavalier oblique. Cabinet oblique is half scale on the depth, and a general is variable from half to full scale. On 191 at the top, it also shows you the pictorial isometric circle template. Okay? 192 and 193 are going to be crucial for these perspective drawings. Okay? You can make something very easy or something complex. I'm keeping a close eye on time because I want to keep this at under 10 minutes. Okay, so doing an easy one like they did on page 193 there, a one-point perspective, you have a front view of an object, and we've been drawing this object here, so I'll just draw the front view here. You have a vanishing point. Normally the vanishing point is on the horizon. Okay, if you look at like the airplane picture on page 191 or 192, the vanishing point, the VP, is on the horizon. That's usually the point where if you're looking down a road, eventually the lines converge and come together at that point. Or you're looking down railroad tracks, two lines that you know are parallel become, they meet at the vanishing point. So say my vanishing point's there. I draw all my depth lines to the vanishing point here. Okay? They just converged at the vanishing point. Okay? Easy, but not that accurate. Okay? Remember, to be accurate, we have to tilt it. The most accurate type of drawing is a two-point perspective. Two-point perspective, here's the key. You have one vanishing point there, one here, no certain spot. Remember, it makes like a V shape on the bottom. If you don't make a V shape on the bottom, it will be wrong. It's angled like that, kind of like a V, because you've tilted it now so you can really truly see depth. The lines go from here to here. Remember, it makes like this V, right? And then you think, well, what is my depth? My depth is probably about half of the depth here is about half of what your width is. Okay? Top on the right side goes over to the left vanishing point. The top on the left side goes over the right vanishing point. These are the vanishing points. VP. Okay? And then at that point, any of the other depth lines would go over to that vanishing point on the right. This one goes up to the one on the right. If you were to continue it, yours will look much prettier than this. Okay? I'm not giving you any certain dimensions. I'm saying go with what you can. If you want, and it helps you to make an object that is the right dimensions, you can do that. But, you know, to where you can go 2.5 inches by the standard 4 or 5 by 1.5, you can do that. But if you want to just kind of free draw them, you can. Just do your best. That's my challenge to you. Okay? So looking at these, the learning target then would be being able to identify 3 different types of pictorial drawings and then draw them and label them. And that is the end. Okay? If you'd like to do a structure like a building like I showed on this, you may. I have colored pencils. If you want to make it look good, stop.